I'm Summer. Let's talk. What are you doing? I'm upset. I really want to start a magical, awesome, huge, amazing moss garden, but I can't because I live in a city. Ugh. Dude, you can totally start an amazing moss garden situation even though you live in a city. What? I can? Show me how. Come on, I'll show you. Let's start with the supplies that you're going to need. These guys are plastic to-go containers. They come in a variety of different colors. I picked these because I thought they were pretty awesome. Next thing, something that is going to hold moisture. You could use soil. I personally like to use soilless methods, so I'm going to use this piece of fabric. And then the last thing that I like to have in my arsenal, my handy dandy pocket knife. I forgot that scissors are also a handy addition. So the first thing I do is I cut the cloth down to fit inside of the container. It doesn't have to be super thick. I'll cut it and show you what it looks like. Voila. Next thing, put your rag inside of your container and spray it down. You don't need to fill the container with water, but you want the rag to be nice and evenly moist. Perfect. Whew, it's bright outside. I like to remind people that everywhere is nature. Even if you live in a city that's full of concrete, it's still nature, which means that there is plant life everywhere if you look in all the right places. Right now, we're gonna walk around and see where we can find moss in our urban landscape, and we're gonna harvest some of it. Let's go. So here's our first stop, and there's a little bit of moss in this concrete. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of it. Harvesting moss from cracks in concrete, usually a good bet because there's dirt there, and anywhere where there's dirt and moisture, moss will be able to do its thing. Let's keep looking. When harvesting anything in nature, you want to practice good humaning, I guess, good harvesting practices. Never take everything, leave some behind. We have more in our container and we'll find more as we continue to look. Here's some moss here along these PG&E meter boxes. I don't know, it says meter and it says PG&E. Let's get the moss. We added a bit more, and when you're walking around and you see things like this, all this beautiful green in the cracks of these bricks, this is moss future forming. I guess. I can't think of a better way to say that, but that's what's happening. Here's a bunch more. I'm gonna grab some of this as well. And there you have it. So I walked about a half a block, and this is how much moss I was able to gather. And there's still so much more in the environment. As I said, just because you live in an urban area doesn't mean that it's not still nature. Nature will always find a way. I harvested this one container of moss. I'm going to show you what I do with it once I bring it back in so that it can do its thing and grow. Let's get back to the store. All right, so we're back in the store. I'm gonna show you what I do with the moss and why using these to-go containers come in clutch for this type of activity. So here we are, we have our moss in our container. What I'm gonna do is give it a little bit of a spray down. Normally you would want to try to remove the dirt, but because these moss collections, moss gatherings, because these moss gatherings are, there we go, oh my god, they're so beautiful. Because I don't really want to disturb what's already happening with their growing process. I'm just going to leave them attached to the dirt that they came with, let them acclimate to being inside of this container. Yeah, so why is there a great benefit to using to-go containers like this is because once you put the lid on, they become their own little humid greenhouses. So you don't really have to do a whole lot more to keep this moss alive and thriving until you are ready to use it or move it into another container. It's going to do well in a setup like this. When it comes to harvesting things from nature to potentially use in your enclosures, in your terrariums, one of the downsides is that it could come with organisms. I honestly don't really worry about that a whole lot. I know there's people who do, who like boil their branches and or bake their branches and all of these other things. I honestly don't do a lot of that. I take it from nature, put it in the enclosure. I don't know. I don't really do that. Reptiles naturally have a certain amount of parasitic load. And as long as that load isn't an overload, then your animal is going to be good and healthy and thriving. So yeah, I don't really do all of that. With these guys, they may come with fun stuff like earthworms and snails. And I kind of like having earthworms and snails in some of my tropical enclosures. I know that that's maybe a, what's the word I'm looking for? Controversial thing to say, but I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it. I kind of like it. All right. That's what I got. That's how you urban proplet moss. We're going to do other videos like this, working with plants and other greenery, because there are so many cool plants and everything around you in your environment that you can take a little snip, bring it home, and watch it grow. I'm Summer. I'm out of here.